Hi, good evening. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start the session. Hi, good evening. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start the session. So today we are going to discuss about the DevOps mindset, why the DevOps is going to be so popular in these days. Not only these days, since last 4 or 5 years. So why the companies are moving towards this DevOps culture. Okay, we are going to discuss these things in this session. Okay, so the topic of this session is that DevOps mindset, how the organization are transforming themselves from traditional way of development to a DevOps culture. The DevOps culture actually follow multiple continuous things like continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous testing, continuous monitoring, all those things. So why that is there? Why that is a requirement of this? So we're going to discuss those things. So before moving ahead, let me introduce myself. So as you can see in this slide, I'm Hitesh, and I'm having 15 years of industry and teaching experience, academic experience. I've worked in DevOps since I'm working since last 5 years, 6 years. Before that, I'm working in data science and robotics process automation. As you can see, I worked as an IBM and Microsoft instructor, and right now I'm also working additionally with GeeksforGeeks as a mentor. I'm having my qualifications as doctorate and masters. I've done these some certifications uh, in terms of my technical certification, but these are not limited to. I have done some more, but I have just placed here majorly. I've published some books. I'm also patents and copyrights. So out of these books, two books are on DevOps itself, where I have specified the DevOps culture. So this is a very brief introduction about myself. Now we will see what the DevOps is. Okay, so for that, I'm going to show you these things with my pad. So earlier, what was the scene that we have majorly two different endpoints of an IT industry. One team is working in dev team, which is working in your in-house environment. So this is working in your in-house, means your industry in your company, and these are working in client side. This team was working in client side. So there was earlier in traditional way of working, in traditional way of working, there's a huge gap between these two. Okay, so there was a huge gap between the communication between these two teams. That's why if the communication is not there, they are going to uh, uh, make a failure in that project because they are not interacting with each other parallelly, and due to that there is a gap. The requirement that has been shared by the client is not reached to development team timely, and they are going to make a blame game. They are going to make a blame game, means whatever these people say the developers team develop, they're going to say that your project is not going to work into environment. So to remove this gap, we have came up with the culture which is DevOps culture. So this is going to make a bridge the gap between dev team and ops team. Okay, now how there is going to be minimize the gap? Earlier they generally communicate with each other, generally I'm just talking about after a month, after 2 months they are going to interact with each other in a more informal way. So if two endpoints of two main teams of a company, if they are not communicating with each other on a regular base, then obviously there will be a communication gap. There will be an information gap. Same information will not be shared between them. So development team will not have actual user requirements, and client will not the ops team will not have actual product that need to be delivered to the client. So to minimize the gap, we came up with the new culture with DevOps. So DevOps stands for development and operations. So actually this is minimizing the gap between development teams and operations team. But now it has increased its capability. Now every team is actually using this DevOps culture, and DevOps is providing lots of tools and techniques. So first thing we should know what is actually DevOps is. So DevOps is actually, first of all, it is a culture. Okay, it is a culture. Okay. Second thing, it is a collection. It is a, you can see, you can add it these collections of tools and techniques, which is helping to maintain this culture of making our environment healthy into the organization. Each and every person should communicate with each other. If each and every person will communicate with each other, and if we will give the priority to the peoples rather than the system and the softwares, then obviously persons is going to be happy, and if persons is going to be happy, then they're going to give more productivity in a quality way. So earlier what was actually happening, that the development team is actually wants changes. They want changes, and the operations team, they do not want the changes. They resist for changes. They want changes, and they resist changes. Why? Because whatever they develop, they need to take time for implementing those changes into actual production environment. So they do not want to do that thing again and again. So they resist that. Don't do changes. Whatever you have delivered, let us just run those things for a specific period of time, and other updates don't share, develop those and don't share with us. But if we have made this fill this gap with DevOps tools and DevOps technology, so they can communicate those things in a proper way, and every time they will be connected with each other. Now every hour the information is available for all of these tools. Okay, so now why, what particular things made it possible? So you can see earlier there was a gap between these two teams. Now DevOps combine these two teams together, so you are getting a better products with quality output. So now if you see here, they are trying to blame each other. They are going to force each other to resist each others. But here you can see with the DevOps culture, everyone is now working in a team. Everyone is now working as a happy family. They are working as a family. They are doing the code. They are putting those changes, all those things. So what things make it possible? What tools make it possible? What list of tools those are actually used to make this kind of cultures? So that tools list I'm going to share with you. I'm going to tell you that into the coming slides. But before that, let's see that what was the earlier culture. So in traditional or waterfall model, so earlier the in uh, early decades of 21st century, 2000 to 2010, or you can consider 1990, that particular model was used, where we have to first completely design the product, then we need to completely build the project. Build means code, and then finally complete project is going to be tested, and complete project is going to be deployed. Until design is not done, you will not be able to start any part of that code of that particular project. If coding is not done, you will not be able to do the testing. So in this way, that particular model is called as waterfall model, where this kind of strategy was actually followed. After that, agile came to the picture. What agile says that don't do in this way. First divide your project into different modules and start doing in this way. Like first design the first module. Start, if the design of the first module is done, start coding for that. If the coding is done, start testing for that. Parallelly, start designing for other modules. So suppose we have divided the whole project into 4 modules, then we can start working on 4 modules parallelly. One module will be in deploy phase, other module will be in test phase, other module will be in build phase, other module will be in design phase. So parallelly, you are going to do the task. So here, if you are going to deliver the project to the customer in 1 year, here you will be able to deliver first sprint of that particular project in only 1 month or even less than that. So Agile says that don't do this thing, don't focus on these predefined strategies, work in Agile way. Just pick, find out which one is more important, try to build the code, design that, code that, test that, and deploy that. Okay, that was the Agile way of working. Now, DevOps made it more in more a continuous way. Okay, so they have says that don't do in this way also, minimize those things in a much smaller task. Let divide that into much smaller task. You can see parallelly this is going to be done. So they have divided that into much smaller task. That is of around 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And if we have divided those things into a smaller way, you know that if a bigger way is going to be divided into smaller chunks, then to manage those things is also difficult. But DevOps says that don't worry about those things. I have the tools with us. I have all those tools which can manage those things together. Okay, so for that, DevOps is having lots of tools. Okay, so DevOps actually says this kind of culture, like it is going to be in this spiral way, but you see that there are 2 circles. So one, this is dev circle, this is op circle. So all these processes, whatever is there, plan, go, code, build, and test, those are actually done in DevOps side, in development side, and deploy, operate, monitor, release. These are done operation side, and you can see both are now connected. And this thing is done for all sprints. So suppose this is your big project, and you have divided that project into 6 modules. So these 6 modules are actually called as sprints. Okay, and all these 6 modules, that whole cycle is going to be done for module 1. Similarly, you will go for the same cycle for module 2, module 3, module 4, module 5, module 6. You will do planning, you will do coding, you will do build, you will do test, you will do deploy, you will do operate, you will do monitor, you need to do release. And we have the tool for all these phases. Let me just show you that, tell you the tools also. For the planning, let me take other color for that. For the planning, we have a list of tools, but I'm going to tell you the important one. So Jira is that tool which is going to be used for that, and Confluence is going to be used in this. So these are DevOps tool which is helping you in this particular process. For coding, we have Git, we have GitHub. Although we have so many, Bitbucket, Mercurial, but these are majorly used for continuous integration. And for coding, you can use an IDE. IDE could be anything, but to merge that code to work with multiple developers, this Git and GitHub is going to be used for in this coding phase. For build, we have Maven, we have Ant, we have Gradle, we have Bazel. So these tools are going to be used in build phase. So they are helping us to convert our source code into corresponding build. Build could be your jar files, that could be your exe, that could be your DLL, that could be a library, Python library. So these tools are helping us to perform these things. For testing, we have JUnit, we have SonarQube, we have Selenium. So these are DevOps tools. Selenium is actually not pure DevOps tool. That was earlier before DevOps culture, but now that is supporting a lot to DevOps culture in this testing phase. So these tools are generally used by dev team. Jira, Git and GitHub, Maven, JUnit. Now what tools this deploy operations team use, or this will also be used somehow with some of these tools will also be used by DevOps development team. So for deploy, we have Docker, we have Kubernetes majorly, and to deploy to make it operate, we are going to use a cloud platform, AWS, GCP, or other cloud platform like Azure. So these platform can be used to monitor the application. We have other list of tool, and to make it operate, we have other very important tool who is going to control this, because these are not tools, these are platforms. To maintain those platform, we have these two major tools: Ansible and Terraform. And for the Ansible, we have two replacement: Chef and Puppet. So either Chef, Puppet, or Ansible can be used, and parallelly we should use Terraform as well. Okay, and to monitor, we have another list of tools like Grafana, Prometheus. Okay, so these tools are going to be used for this purpose. Okay, for release, we have the tools like uh, Nexus server, or we can use other like Docker Hub. So these tools are used for releasing those things. Okay, so these are the list of tools which are going to help us to maintain these things automatically, because DevOps second synonym you can consider as automation. Because if we are going to maintain the things in a smaller chunk, then that cannot be handled manually. We need to use automated process for this. So DevOps is also can be named as secondly as automation culture, and these are the tools which is helping us to maintain this autonomous automation. Okay, so these are some benefits of having DevOps culture into IT industries. So why companies are transforming themselves into DevOps culture? Because it helps the companies to increase communication. So increasing, I'm just putting plus sign. So that is helping us to increase more communication between the team members. It is helping to maintain the transparency. Okay, transparency means everything is now available on systems, everything is updated on live manner, so no one can hide any other's mistake, no one can hide any other's appreciation. So both things will be there. If something has done good, that will also be available on portal. If something is not done, that will also be available on those tools. Then it is helping to invite the invitation innovations from the different team members. It is also having the culture that whenever something is going to be done good by the person team, they are going to appreciate for that. Okay, failures are going to be popularized, means if some failure or some bugs is going to there, that is not going to be hidden, that is going to be publicized to the team, so that anyone can see those bugs as well, and if someone want to contribute in that, that can also be done. It consider that changes need to be there. Changes is good. Earlier in waterfall model, it says that changes are not allowed, even not good, they are saying that changes is not allowed. If something has been fixed initially, then we are not going to make any change in the code after that. No blame game, trust has been increased, honesty and openness has been increased, because everything is now open. Tools, lots of tools are there, so I'm going to put it triple plus here, that lots of tools are there for DevOps culture. Okay, accountability is there because everything is maintained by the tool, so matrices are there, everything is going to be popularized into these kind of matrices on portal, so anyone can see that who have written what kind of, how many lines, who have written, who have given so many commits, who have created how many repositories, how many line of code has been written, what, when he has done that. All those things has been maintained by the tool, so Git and GitHub is going to useful in that. Okay, so these two tools are going to be useful in this accountability, and other tools can also be. Similarly, collaboration. So Git and GitHub is going to be used for increasing the collaboration. If multiple team members are working together, they can push their code into a common repository. For that, we have this GitHub, which is again a pure DevOps tool. So these are some core benefits that is actually provided by the DevOps culture. Other benefit in terms of technical benefit, it is going to help us to reduce the lead time. Lead time is the complete time getting the requirement and delivering the product. Okay, so that complete time, including planning, code design, code test, build, deploy, operate. That is the build lead time. So DevOps is going to reduce the lead time because automation is there. Everything is going to be done automated way. So if automation is there, no human intervention is required. So obviously the waiting time is going to be deleted and your product is going to be done in a very efficient way or a faster way. Reduction in failures of product and its release, because maximum things are done on past success. You have created those pipelines automatically, you have written those scripts in the previous project and which was a success story. So next time you are going to use same kind of script, so ultimately a failure chances is reduced. And since you are going to use automation tool, manual intervention is there, so manual errors has also been eliminated. Collaboration, Git and GitHub are helping us to collaborate multiple team members together. They can code together and they can produce a tangible unit in a specific time. Scalability, so as I have told you that in operative state, we have Docker and Kubernetes as the tool for DevOps culture. So these tools is using to scaling your application, especially Kubernetes. So if load is going to be there on your application, automatically Kubernetes is going to start another instances of your application. Okay, like you see today, Netflix, Hotstar, they are not going to down now. If you'll see a 5 years back story about Hotstar, when the match is going to be start, then multiple users are going to connect at the same time. So in that time, Hotstar is going to be down. But now that is not the issue, because now Hotstar is using these kind of platform. Hotstar, Netflix, they are using a lot this DevOps culture. So automatically scaling is done with the help of these tools. Whenever new users are coming to your application, automatically the application is going to be deployed on multiple instances. Earlier, if that is running on 1000 instances for 5 million users, if suddenly 10 million users come, automatically these instances are going to be 2000. So that is done with this tool and no manual intervention is required. Automatically that is going to be done with DevOps tools. Reliability, you can see now that is not going to be down. Now you can rely on Hotstar, that if you are going to watch the match, important match on Hotstar, that is not going to let you down, or that is not going to miss your match. So it means you will now, Hotstar is reliable platform for you to just see your match. So in that sense, means other scenario can also be taken, but in that sense, the reliability has been increased with the help of the DevOps culture. Optimum utilization of the cost and resources. So yes, you have seen that as soon as the user will log in, it is not going to be the case that it is going to start these 2000 instances 5 hours before, or if the users had again reduced to 2 million because the match is over, now users have started logged out, so it doesn't mean that it's taking 5 hours again to down those instances from 2000 to 500. No, it is going to done in few minutes, only 2-3 minutes. So it means extra billing of those 5 hours to 10 hours can be reduced, and the resources is not going to utilized, means those are not going to wasted for 10 hours. Okay, so that is also done with the help of DevOps. So DevOps is going to use your resource in an optimal way with minimum cost and minimum uh, utilization of those resources. Okay, with the same diagram that we have seen earlier, you can see I've told you that DevOps is actually using agile as a supportive culture. It is not the ways that DevOps is actually substitute of agile. Now those are not two different rival technologies or the culture. DevOps is using majorly the agile culture and the backend. So agile says that do in this way. Now the same thing has been done by DevOps in a continuous manner. Continuous integration, continuous testing, continuous delivery, continuous feedback, continuous feedback, continuous monitoring. So this thing can be done with the DevOps only because DevOps is having tools for them. And if you want to do continuously something repeatedly, then humans cannot do that. So in that case, some tools need to be required. So in that case, we have a lots of tool in DevOps culture. That's why DevOps is capable to handle these continuous uh, processes into a development process. Now here we have just made a comparison in some matrices form, in some parameters based, that how these parameters are different in DevOps culture and traditional IT culture. So in DevOps culture, the batch size means the product size is micro, means you are going to work on small unit. Here you are going to work on a complete project. So the batch size is big in this. Organization are dedicated cells, means a specific team is going to work on a specific thing also, or uh, the development team is going to focus on development, where here skill centric silos. Here a developer can also work in a testing team, that can also work in a deployment team in this DevOps culture. But here that is not. If a developer is there, he is going to develop only, and once the development work is there completed, they are not going to contribute into other processes. So that is also the comparison. Second one, this is decentralized and continuous. It is centralized always. Release is actually done in a high risk event. In traditional IT culture, involve waterfall model. What was that? That whenever release is going to be happen, they are going to make around 1 week, 1 week most prior event. They are going to stop all other processes. They are going to ask your team 1 week before, be ready for the release. We are going to release that. We don't want any kind of hiccups. Please make sure that everything is working fine. So 1 week before, 7 days, they are going to make a hype of this thing. But in DevOps culture, this is a very normal task because they are going to be done in a very frequent way. So they are not going to make a hype of 7 days. Even in 7 days to means 1 week to 4 week, they are going to develop, build, test, delete, all those release can be done. They are not going to make the hype of this. So that is uneventful. Information is actionable, means information, whatever feedback you are getting, that action need to be taken. It is cost effective, capacity effective, flow effective. It is cost and capacity is going to be high in this. And these are going to be majorly. Here flow is also going to be majorly. And the definition of done in terms of DevOps culture is this. This says that it is ready to deploy. In this says that. So if I will tell you in other word, that it says that done. Once suppose a development team has done the task, they will declare that we have done the task. But DevOps culture says that until the last team will not finish their task, anyone cannot say that we have done our part, because everyone is responsible at each time. So for each and every step, everyone is responsible. So in this way, in DevOps culture, that's why that a teamwork is actually going to be placed. Okay, again the same kind of thing. So I'm going to tell you some important point that we have discussed. This is we have not discussed. So not silos, no waste. So in terms of DevOps culture, teams are not working in silos. They are going to work in an integrated way. In DevOps, innovations and creativity is encouraged, which was not there in traditional way of working. That we have seen in the last slide, increase employability, engagement, and job satisfaction, because every team is working all the time. As we have seen in traditional way, that testing team will not work until that code is not going to be provided for the whole project. So if the project is design phase, then coding team, testing team, and other team is in rest state when they are not going to product anything. But that is not the case here. Okay, everyone is engaged in any one of those modules because modules has been divided into smaller way. Continuous integration and continuous delivery. So for that, may have heard this term CI/CD. So continuously every time that is going to develop the code, that is going to make a build automatically, that is going to be deployed. So code, build, test, deploy, operate, monitor. So that comes under CI/CD. So this part comes under CI, and this part comes under CD. So this is going to be done regularly for each and every module. So that's why CI/CD is going to be run all the time. So that's a continuous integration is going to be done all the time. Continuous deployment is going to be done all the time. Okay, fewer failures. Failures will be less, performance will be increased, and stability will be there. So all those factors I have shown you in the previous slide as well. Now here in this particular coming 3-4 slide, I have discussed about one of the major tool which is used in DevOps culture now, which is containerization tool, containers. So containers, for containerization, we have a tool which is most popular in DevOps culture, Docker. So DevOps culture having two major tools. One is GitHub and Docker. These are most popular tools. So what the containers do? So we know that containers are actually a shipping industry term. That is what actually a IT industry term. So that was used in shipping industries earlier, transportation industries. So why? Because in shipping industry, that was the challenge. That in shipping or in transportation industry, we have different kind of medium. Like we have trucks, we have trains, we have cranes, we have those things. So we have different type of medium, and these are different type of goods that we want to transport over this medium. Suppose we want to send something from Delhi to suppose Washington, US. So it need to, so suppose you want to transfer this car, suppose you want to transfer a car, so that need to shift multiple mediums, like from here to Bombay by train, first from that owner to that railway station, that need to use truck, then truck to train, then train to ship, then again ship to train, then again train to truck. So this shifting need to be done for this car, or if some small items are there, then that is going to be shipped from this. So multiple transitions are there. In that case, if that is not handled properly, this is going to be a mess up for that, and this product will also be destroyed. So this same kind of challenge was there in IT industry, this shipping industry. So what solution they have made? That they have made this container, and they are going to put everything in this container separately. Suppose this container is having only cars, another container can have only foods, another container can have only another thing, and the container is having that facility that it can easily carry over in any kind of medium. It can easily carry over truck, it can easily carry over a train, it can easily carry over our ships. So since that is a uniform structure, so that is going to run everywhere, that is going to use everywhere. So that issue has been solved in IT industry or the shipping industry by these containers. Now same challenge is there, like you can see, these are the different kind of medium or different kind of materials. They have been pushed into different kind of containers, and those containers can be placed in any kind of medium. So we have these things to be transport, and we have different mediums. So to make a connection between different kind of materials into different kind of mediums, that containers has helpful in that particular thing. Now same thing, same challenge we have in IT industry. We have so many type of running environment, like We have quality assurance server, we have data centers, we have production servers, we have public cloud, we have those. So these are my mediums where my application can run. But my application is also having different material. Like application could be static website, application could be database only, application could be front-end application could be an API only, those could be some backend processes. So that is also diverse in nature. So we have diverse application, we have diverse environment where we can run that. So how that can be combined together, how they can, that issue can be solved, that any kind of application can run on any kind of platform. So for that, again, what should be there in this thing? Okay, what is actually the solution for all these things? So the solution for this is container again. So here, this is not like this physical container, we have Docker containers. We can have other tools also. Docker is a tool which is actually helping us to create these containers, but we can have other tools as well. Okay, but majorly 80% people are using Docker. Okay, so that's why Docker is generally with the containers, we are using the term Docker containers. So now inside this, we can put these applications and we can put this environment. And suppose we have made a container of this application in this environment. So that is one container. It is going to run anywhere. You need to just have Docker installed into your system. Then that's it. This application is going to run anywhere. No matter that you are using Mac, you are using Linux, you are using Windows, you are using a server, or you are using a local machine. No matter. You need to just install Docker there. And on the top of that, this is going to work. Okay, so that problem has been solved by these containers. So we have different containers for different applications. Like you have seen here, we can have different containers for different kind of goods. Okay, so similarly, for each and every kind of environment and the application, we have different containers. So these containers is, and all these containers are available on all these Docker images, or from which we can create the containers. All these kind of containers are available on a platform which is Docker Hub. So you can just look into that, hub.docker.com. On this platform, you can explore this. You will find out so many 10,000 different Docker images are available, which can work as a base container. On top of that, you can deploy your application, or you can use those Docker images to Dockerize your applications. You can see whatever you want. Like if you want Nginx server, you have the Docker image for that. If you want to work on Ubuntu, you have the Docker image of that. If you want to work on Python, you can work on that. Similarly, Node.js, Apache, okay, MySQL, MariaDB, OpenJDK. So all those Debian, PHP, all those 10,000 different Docker images are there. From those, you can make those containers and you can start working on those. Like here, for each and every environment, these are the environment. For we have the Docker images for all of these environments, and on top of that, we can install our application, and that is going to work. Okay, so that is this small description about those things. Now I'm going to tell you something extra, like related to the tools. So now suppose we have seen that multiple users can work together. Like suppose we have 3 users, if they want to work together. So earlier that was not possible in an effective way. Like if suppose this person has written some code in a particular directory into the particular folder, then suppose this code he also wants to contribute into this project, into this code. So what he need to do, he need to ask them to copy this file into his USB or share that via drive, and then this person is going to take that copy in USB and putting into his repository, his folder, and start coding that. Similarly, if this also wants to work that, then again he need to take a copy of this into pen drive, hard disk, or drive, anything, and he need to work that. Once they have made the changes, they need to again transfer those things into this person with those USB drive only. Okay, and in that case, that dependency and the movement is there. Same thing has been replaced by GitHub. So this is a DevOps culture tool. So now all need to be connected on this GitHub. They need to have the account on the GitHub. Any person can, the first person need to push this code onto the GitHub. They can download that, and downloading is actually called as clone that code into their system, and they can start working there. And then again they can push that into their account, and then finally they can put into this user's account. So these kind of continuous, and this is done in a real way, continuous. So that's why the term is continuous integration. Continuous integration means anytime each and every person in integrating their code in a GitHub repository. Okay, so in that way, that using this GitHub, a continuous integration feature of DevOps culture is actually implemented. All those will be sync in this particular repository with the help of this GitHub culture. Like if you just see that tool here, like you can see my account here. Okay, so all these are my repositories. Okay, like the FG DevOps training, and all these repositories, anyone can contribute there. Like if I'll show you one open source repository like Hadoop. And that is maintained by Apache. This repository is maintained by that. So you can see how many people are continuously integrating their code there. 533 people. So 533 coders, developers are continuously working on this project. And who is going to maintain all this stuff together? Who is going to maintain that which code need to be added, which code not be added? So that is going to be maintained by this GitHub. Okay, you can see 8,500 people have forked this repository, and they have made the clone of this repository into their private repositories or local repositories. And you can see 834 changes has been placed as of now on this. Additionally, all those things are already there. Hadoop is a very popular tool and very stable tool. It has been in the market since last 10 years, which is used for data analytics. Now you can see already these people have suggested 837 requests. Pull request means they have suggested the changes. They have written their code and they have put their pull request that need to be merged into this repository. Okay, so that kind of facility is going to provide by these kind of tools. You can see this is a tool which is actually helping this kind of culture. So similarly, organizations are also going to create their own repositories. Like they can create their private repository. Like I'm going to show you that they can create. Like if I'm just going to do that, they can create their private repositories and they can distribute this repository to their developers. They can contribute their code into that project, and the project will develop in a real way. And that integration is actually done on hourly basis minimum. Means that could be done whenever you have written a function, you are going to integrate that code on GitHub. Okay, so this that thing I was actually telling, that this Git is also going to be one of the more powerful tools in DevOps culture, and we have seen that the Docker is going to be one of the another powerful tool in that. In between, to make a build, to test that, to deploy that, all those tools are going to useful in those sense. But yes, majorly GitHub and Docker is actually more popular in this culture. Okay, so that's all for this session, team. Thank you for joining this session. I hope that you have understand something new things about the DevOps and why the DevOps is actually used in IT industries for transforming themselves from one culture to another culture. Thank you, team. See you. See you in the next session.